Welcome everyone to today's Interagency Task Force on Israeli Arab Issues Foundation Forum call on the Arab education stream in Israel. We're delighted to be able to do a dive into strategy, the government's funding and strategies to improve the Arab education stream, and look also at a focus on elementary education. As you know, Arab society in Israel skews young, and 39% of Arab citizens are under the age of 17. So looking at how the education system is preparing them for horizons in the future is perhaps one of the biggest priorities we could be spending attention on. To take us through today's call, moderate and introduce our speakers is Divack from the Littauer Foundation, who both funds but also advocates for more funding and interest in elementary education, especially in Israel. Alan, please.
Great. Thanks, Liron. So as Liron said, I'm Divack. I'm the program director of the Lucius and Littauer Foundation in New York. And I'm also co-chair with Josh Arno of the Social Venture Fund for Jewish Arab Equality and Shared Society in Israel. So I'm happy to be here moderating this conversation about challenges and opportunities in Israel's Arab education system, and in particular in elementary education. So we're joined today by Shireen Natour Hafi, who's Director of Arab Education in the Ministry of Education, and by Sally Awad Asfour, Director of the Tamkin program at ICEI, the Israel Center for Educational Innovation. So in the 8 years that I've been involved in grant making in Israel, I've observed how poorly, for the most part, low-income students are served by the educational system. Along with crime, this is one of the, and this is especially severe, I think, in Arab society, in the Arab public schools. And along with crime, this is one of the issues raised most consistently when I speak with leaders from the Arab community. The gaps that begin early in life make it difficult to access pathways to opportunities later on. And I think that elementary education in particular is also neglected by donors, relatively speaking. And perhaps we can talk about this a bit in our conversation later. So I'm really thrilled that we're going to be hearing today about initiatives from the Ministry of Education and from a leading educational NGO to address these gaps. Before I start, I want to note that we've also been joined on the Zoom today by Don Futterman, who is the founder and executive director of ICEI, and also by some board members of the organization. Lior Brown, who's the former official at the finance ministry responsible for for overseeing Israel's educational budgets, and I believe we're going to be joined later by or shortly by Professor Abdusalem Azem, the Dean of Life Sciences at Tel Aviv University. And all of them will be available for questions along with Sally and Shireen after the presentation. So thanks everyone for being here. We'll hear from Shireen first and then Sally for about 12 minutes each. And then we'll open up for a general, for questions and a general discussion. So Shireen, let's start with you. Please share a bit about your background, how you came to be working, the head of Arab education at the ministry, and your strategic plan for Arab education. So Shireen, take it away.
Thank you. Good evening. Thank you for having me. Actually, for the last 27 years, I have been working as an educator in Israel. And for the last year, I have been the chief or the head of education's Arab system in the Ministry of Education. I work for the government. Actually, last time we spoke, I just figured that this sentence is real. You asked me what I feel about the government, and I answered you, actually, I'm the government. So I would like to share you my experience and my hope for elementary schools, Arab elementary schools. I think as Arabs, we have great opportunity today because the Jewish community is struggling now each other. So we have great opportunity. We have a great timeout as Arabs to do things. No one really care about us. So it's great opportunity to do amazing things. Meanwhile, the Jewish community is not with us today. So I really ask you to see what we are trying to do as Arab community in the system of education. I think that elementary schools, I would like to share you. Why elementary schools? Because we believe that we have to begin early, because most of the kids begin in the same kind of motivation, hope. It doesn't matter where do you live, because we believe that if we begin earlier, we can get better results with kids. We actually now thinking about begin in kindergarten, but today we'll speak at elementary school what we need to do. We as Arabs are 24% of all education system in Israel. We speak about 67 cities and villages in Arab community. We part of Ministry of Education. We have cities and villages in 7 areas in Israel. We don't have a separated management in Ministry of Education. We are part of the Jewish system of management in Ministry of Education. And what we figured that if we actually invest in early age in Arabic language, especially Arabic language, if we strengthen Arabic language, then we can do things with the kids. Unfortunately, 82% of our kids, when we measured them last year at the 3rd grade, 82% of our kids didn't know to read or write well. So we had to find solutions for them. And one of the solutions that Sally will talk about is the great program of Tamkin. And what is special that we find as Ministry of Education, that it's not enough to put programs as ministry and to send them to the principals or to schools. We need to do something with that. And that's what we are trying to do, is to think together with all the cities and our villages, what we need to do for kids so they can speak and write Arabic better than they do now. And what Tamkin is doing is, Sally will speak about that. It's not a program that we just give them more hours for Arabic language or train the teachers outside schools. They do special things in schools. So I think this is the only way to do the change that we want to do. And the change I'm talking about is to invest in education. I know that you see what happens 2 years ago in Israeli society between Arabs and Jews, and you're afraid that it will come back. And maybe if you invest in Arab society, it won't make a coexistence. But I really assure you that Arabs in Israel see education as a key for being part of the community and society in Israel. And when you educate young kids, when you give them an opportunity to express themselves in their native language, you can make them great adults. And our experience is that if you strengthen Arabic language, they can speak Hebrew, because we have a big problem with Hebrew. Our kids don't speak Hebrew very well. And when we find that it doesn't matter what they think about the government or what they think about Israeli government, they just want to speak and learn Hebrew. They don't have good teachers in Hebrew. So, and what we find out that they don't know Arabic very well. So if you don't know Arabic very well, you can speak other language. So we believe that elementary schools are the key. This is the first step we need to do. So, you know that over the last years, the government invests a lot of money in Arab society because of what we struggled as Arab society for years to have special programs in our school, and Tamkin is one of that special programs. I really think that this is the time to strengthen our teachers, our principals, and especially our cities and villages. We just came back home as Arabs, and we believe that if we strengthen our people back home, we can deal with what is happening in Israel today. But if we will go back home alone, with no support, it will be dangerous, in my opinion. So we as Ministry of Education really would like to find more programs like Tamkin, that they are going back to our towns and villages and cities, strengthen our teachers and principals, train them inside their schools, and give hope for little kids, because I really believe this is the only way to do a change. For the last 13 years, I was a principal in one of the toughest areas in Israel. And only with education, we gave hope for the kids. We did a lot of programs in a formal and informal way in school. I really believe that education is the key for a change. And thank you for having me today. And if I would like to let Sally tell you about what we do together in Tamkin program, because it's a special experience for us.
Sure. Thank you. I will share screen.
Alan, you're on mute.
What is
Sorry,
the,
yeah, Sally, go ahead.
What is I can't find the message. Okay, wait, please. Okay, can you see my presentation?
Yes.
Okay, so hello, I'm really happy and glad to be with you and to share with you our Tamkin program. It is a very good opportunity for me, and thank you for this opportunity. I will start from the fact that I feel like hurt me a lot that in Israel there is a very high correlation between a low socioeconomic status and the underachievement. And I believe that we have to do all our best to give all the kids, each kid, all the opportunity to grow up and to finish high school and to integrate to our society. So I guess in our program, we really can give this opportunity to our kids. So Shireen already mentioned some of the needs, but maybe I will make it like just to compare between the Arab and Jewish community, that we can see that double of the students from Arab community and low socioeconomic background. We have like half 200 from 400 schools in elementary school in Arab education. It's a failing, and maybe if we can look at the ASIF exam that the Ministry of Education make it to evaluate the 4th grade, we can see, as Shireen mentioned, 83% underachievement, and twice the dropout rate that in Jewish school. and significantly lower matriculation rate. So when we talking about the Arabic language, it seems like weird. Yani it's like taken for granted. Why to invest in native language? It should be the easier way to teach the native language. It's not another language. But there is a lot of reason about this result. But I will focus today in about the challenge that we have specific in the Arab language. And I will make a small exercise for you. What you see in the screen, there is a letter in Arabic. The letter is called eh or h in English. And in each word, you have the same letter. So if you can recognize or see which one this letter, you can see it's a really different shape in each word. So what you see now in red color, this is really the letter that you can see it's really in different shape. That means that the child in first grade have to know more than 400 figures to get the language, to start read the language. So it make it very, very complicated. And another thing that we have, it's about the diglossia. Diglossia in the Arab language, we have two different languages, the spoken language and the written language. And I mentioned here two sentences that mean exactly the same. One is the formal language and one is a spoken language. And you can see that there is no, each word, it's not similar to the other. And when I call it, it's like ذهب الرجل إلى متجر الملابس راح الزلمة على دكان الأواعي. It's really two different sentences. And what makes it more complicated that we have really a lot of accents. So that make it a more challenge because, for example, I'm from Nazareth. If you go far from Nazareth, like 10 minutes to Kufur Kanna, some of the kids, the letter aq, like ej, the different letters. So it's make it really complicated how to write the language. So Tamkin program is a 5-year intervention in Arab elementary school that using proven teaching methodology to enhance reading, writing, speaking, and lesson skills, literacy, because we believe that language is not just to communicate with each other. Language is the ability to think, our thought, our culture. So we believe if we invest good in our language, we have a better chance to really finish high school and to, as Shireen mentioned, to be able to learn the other language and to accept another culture when we are already accept and learn about our culture. So what about what's unique in the Tamkin model? I think the most important thing that we have a literacy coach that training the teacher, ongoing training. She has 3 days a week that be just with the staff, go into the classroom and make a modeling, co-teaching, observation, and a feedback. And it's not less important that they also give the teacher emotional support. So they teach them ongoing training, a new methodology that help the teacher improve their work. And they feel more confident, they feel more high self-efficacy and more motivation because they start to see results. Because we feel that when we enter in the school, especially with the low socioeconomic status, you can feel that the teacher already feel like so down because the Minister of Education asked for him a lot of results, but they trying and no results. So they make them feel really frustration. Another thing that we have, another resource that it's very, very important, a principal mentor that help principals takes ownership of the change process And we also have a different environment. We upgraded learning environment, including a leveled library for more than 400 Arabic books in every classroom. And it's a really a change in our society because they get the opportunity to read each day. And it's not usually in our culture, reading, it's not usually what the average of reading in our culture maybe 1 or 2 books a year for all the community. And the other resource that we have is the ICEI user-friendly online data tracking system, Medida, promotes individualization and data-driven instruction. That mean that we can know each kid's the level in his writing, reading, and we also make a new plan to specific group, and it's very help us and help the teacher to manage the data and to manage not just emotionally if it's kids is good or bad. Despite to manage emotionally, they have really a data to look on it and work manage a new plan about specific need that we need in our kids. So here we can see some picture from our methodology, like we have a king of reading, independent reading, sharing reading. So you can see also that the class is not like normal class. There is some place to sit all of them together. They sit in groups. From our pilot, we can see a lot of success from our program. We can see that the teacher and student have greater confidence and skills to success, and we really hear that all the time, that teacher more motivate and more with self-efficacy. And if usually they say, no, we can't success because the parents didn't help us to success, or because we are working in a very, very high environment. Today, we just, we didn't hear something like that. We just, they took all the responsibility to help the kids to success and to have good achievement. We can see also from our data that children are learning to read earlier. So like our goals is to have like 100% from first grade to that they be able to read. And literacy scores are steadily improving. And as we know that if we improve literacy skills, that help students advance in all the subjects. And what I'm also always, it's really not about to teach Arabic and reading. Our program make a really social change because first of all, we make a change in the home that children go back with book and they read at home. And they make a conversation with their parents about story that they read or about the experience that they have a king of reading at school. So we make different kind of speaking and interaction between the parents and the schools. If before the program, the parents were treating the teacher and talk with him like in violent way, today they talk about the program, when my kids will be king of reading, when I can come and see my kids. So it's make a very good relation between the teacher and the parents. And we have a lot of method in our program that we are working about the emotional skills and dialogue skills. So we didn't make it like it's like the kids can learn alone how to make a dialogue. We simply teach them step by step how to make a dialogue, how to look to the eyes, how to listen, how to give feedback. from the first grade, and this result we can see even at the free time, that if before the program a lot of violence, now we can see that they took about their experience, they took together, and we have less violent behavior in the school. That's what principal said. And I think the most important things in our program, that there is a stability. We give all the resource and the investment entirely in the school. I mean that staff will stay at the school. We empowerment the staff that when we are go out, they will continue in their school. It's not like a program, outside program that coming and go with their resource. When they finish all the resource, it's gone. So that make it, for me, it's very, very important, because in this way we can really improve a lot of students, because it's not really about 5 years. We are working there 5 years, but just today we have a conference, and I had some conversation with some principal, and they told us that the teacher says even if the program is gone and done, we can't imagine ourselves teaching like before 3 or 4 years. We will continue as they teach us. So for me, it's very, very important. So I will thank Shireen also, that really we have a very, very good opportunity that and a very good partnership with the Ministry of Education, that we have 37 million shekel to 5 years to simply that joint venture between ICEI and the Ministry of Education in 50 Arab elementary school. And it's really unprecedented the commitment of funds to improve Arab elementary school, and it's really unique opportunity for the philanthropic community to match the Ministry of Education. So half of the money is from Ministry of Education, half is from the ICI, from the philanthropy side. So thank you. Join us in a really big change and transforming the underperforming Arab school through Israel, and offering these children a better future. And if you have any question, I will be happy to.
Great. Thank you so much, Sally and Shireen. So before we open up to broader questions, I see that Professor Azam has joined us. He's a board member of ICEI, and I was just wondering if you would say a few words from a person who sits in the higher education system, right, as to what you see as the importance of these programs in Arab elementary education.
Hi all, thank you for attending. Sorry for being late. I'm just somehow in the last minute I didn't find the Zoom link. So, finally, I found it. Anyway, my name is Abdul Salam Azam. I joined the Tel Aviv University in 1997. Since then, I've been department head, school head, and dean. During this period, also, I have been in charge of advancement of Arab students in the academy, because the high, at least at Tel Aviv University, there is a high dropout of Arab students from the system, and Fatat, the Israeli Ministry of Education, and all universities implemented a very strong support for Arab students to prevent dropout. We succeeded at some level, of course, to make the dropout less, but still we are not succeeding. If you want, I can continue and say more. If not, at the end, at some stage, if you will have questions.
Yeah, no, just for about, so it's interesting, because the first question I was going to ask of you, and I guess Shireen as well, is, so many Arab students are entering higher education, right? Technion is 1/3 Arab students, right? So it appears to be a success. What's happening? And where are the weak points? And Shireen, also, I would love to hear from you about this. So, but go ahead, Professor.
So if you look at life sciences, Faculty of Life Sciences at Tel Aviv University, 25% of the students are Arabs, okay? But if you look, you can see the problem when you look at Dean's list of excellent students, okay?
Mm-hmm.
We have almost 50 students, excellent students in the faculty, only 2 Arabs, okay? I think in the, there is the best 2, let's say, in the last 20 years, we had only 1 Arab in the list of the rector, we call it, okay? And we have high dropout. And the reason is the basics. I mean, I know as Arab, I know which education we get at elementary school. And you can, after high school, let's say, provide any help possible. But still many aspects are missing. Say how to deal with a new language, how to deal with the critical thinking. I mean, you can bring Arab students to the university with the highest grades possible at high school. They teach them at school how to get grades, not how to deal with critical thinking. When they come to school, to university, they face another reality. They face another reality. So the problem is the basics. It's not the will of the student or any another aspect. It is the basics that are missing there. And we need to deal with these basics at elementary school, not at university.
Well, thank you. So, Shireen, would you have any comments on that? I'm curious if this is your experience and if this fits with your analysis and strategies for education, K through 12 education as well.
Actually, we find that Hebrew is our kids don't know Hebrew very well. We see that for the last years, even more kids don't know Hebrew than we know as adults. And when we ask kids, why don't you know Hebrew? Is it something that you decided not to learn? They just told us that they don't have enough good teachers in our schools to teach them Hebrew, and especially they don't meet Israelis in their life. So we need to do both to make our teachers better, Hebrew teachers, and to let our kids just meet Hebrew and Israeli society. And when they come to Israeli university, actually for most of them, it's the first time to meet Israeli society. So we are trying to do our best in teaching them Hebrew in a better way. We have a national program next year, how to teach Hebrew. And we have to do a lot for coexistence activities in schools and as a Ministry of Education to let them meet kids from Israeli society and to know better Israeli society.
Okay, thank you, Shireen. I'd actually like to open it up for other people on the call. If you have any questions, we're a small group, so you could just unmute and pose them to Ilan.
So Shireen and Azim, I have to ask. So do you think that Arab students or Arab kids in elementary school or in higher education or in high schools, do they think that learning Hebrew or in a sufficient level of Hebrew is not something that will promote them, that will bring them to a better starting point in higher education or the labor market, or is it something that because of identity issues they choose to take a step back from? So why do you think that they
don't have to teach it? Sorry, okay. I thought you asked. Well, please.
Who should answer? I don't.
No, go ahead.
Both.
Go ahead, Azim.
You know,
Both. Go ahead, Azim.
both of you, yeah.
Okay, Shireen, please.
I don't think my identity is not won't be it's so strong if I speak Hebrew or Arabic. It doesn't matter for me if when I speak Hebrew very well, it doesn't mean that I'm not enough an Arab. My Arab identity will be less. Okay, we are talking about a new period of time. I won't apologize because my Hebrew is very well. And I think what kids told us that they really want to learn Hebrew. Unfortunately, our teachers don't know how to do it in schools because they don't know Hebrew very well. To speak, you have to practice the language. If you don't meet the Jewish community, the Israeli community outside your villages, you can't speak Hebrew. So today, it's a sad way to tell you that, but we don't meet each other, you know. And if we meet, it's after school, maybe in university. And also I have to tell you that a lot of kids go outside Israel to study at universities because of Hebrew. So even at university, they don't meet. So this is the main reason they don't know Hebrew.
So, but you're saying that the incentive for Arab students to learn Hebrew is there. It's on the system side.
Absolutely.
To provide. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So Shireen, a question about this though. What about, and I know there have been demonstration projects, I think Givat Haviva and Merchavim, bringing Jewish teachers into Arab schools to teach Hebrew. And also there are a lot of trained Arab teachers who are fully qualified to teach other, Arabic, but also other subjects in the Jewish schools. What might the ministry encourage something like that?
Great programs, but not enough. Absolutely, it's the way to do that, to let them meet each other, but it's not enough. We have to make it more, because today we are talking about 42 schools that had Jewish teachers that teach them Hebrew in Arab schools. We need to do that more because this is the only way to teach Hebrew. I have to say something. I don't speak about Hebrew instead of speak Arabic very well. We have to do both, okay? That's why we do Tamkin with Sally. We believe that our kids need to know Hebrew. Unfortunately, today we deal with realities that our kids feel comfortable to speak English first, then Arabic, then Hebrew. So we have to do more than what you mentioned with Givat Haviva and make more Jewish teachers in Arab school and more Arab teachers in Jewish schools. I believe in that.
Professor Azam, did you have something to add to this?
Yes. Of course, teaching language under graduate studies is Hebrew. And I see that most Arab students also come with severe problems with Hebrew. They do the exams in high school in Arabic in most cases. I mean, so this is the gap between. So they do not feel obligated to learn Hebrew until they come to the university, and there they face the language. I mean, I see some students that do not really able to express themselves in Hebrew well. So this is important. Language, and again, even if you learn Arabic, if you have way to learn Arabic in critical way, you can in the future get some tools that will teach you biology. It's not separate. I mean, it's not separate. If you know how to get and to apply methods from other subjects, you will be able to do so. So it's an important question. And again, teaching language in Israel, undergraduate studies in Hebrew. We don't have programs taught in English. We have for master and PhD, we have an English teaching. So you can finish the master in Tel Aviv University at our faculty without knowing single word in Hebrew. But before that, you need to do undergraduates.
Thank you. Any
of
other
course,
questions?
some of the students, wealthy students, coming from wealthy families, they are speaking Hebrew very well. I mean, I'm not talking about them, of course. I'm talking about elementary school kids who come from families that are not able to provide them with informal studies outside, to bring them teachers, and this is the biggest mass of Arabs. Most Arabs are coming from families that are not have a high income to afford getting teacher outside school.
Okay, thank you. So I see we have questions from Liron, Nancy, and Shahira. So we'll go in that order. Okay, Liron.
Hi, thank you both so much. I know it's such a busy period. Both Shireen and Sally talked about Tamkin as both a literacy program, but also a capacity building program. And I'm curious, capacity building meaning literacy is both something that I understand the students get and gain, but so do the teachers and the principals, and the entire school system becomes more adept at providing the education. I'm curious to hear from both of you about what other capacity building needs are needed in the education system, and how, I mean, I guess, Sally, if you could talk more about Tamkin as a capacity building program, and Shireen, if you can talk to us a little bit about how, from your position being in the government today, you're looking at addressing gaps in the capacities of creating a better school system. I think whether it's in the schools themselves and local authorities, or from what you've been able to do in nearly 1 year in the office. Let me know if my question is clear or too broad.
No, maybe Sally would like to answer, and then I will answer.
I can say about Tamkin program that the integration between all the elements that make it successful. And if we want to invest now just with the pedagogical culture to work alone, it will not be successful, I think, because we are making a culture change in the school, and we bring the principal to lead this change in an effective way. So if we just investment in the principal, it doesn't work. If we just investment in the culture, it doesn't work. If we didn't make any change in the environment, it will be less effective also. So what it's really make it good program, that it's really holistic program. It's a very, the interaction and the communication between all the elements make the difference in school. And we make a different culture. It's not specific at the literacy. It's the literacy as a minuf, as a scaling all the process in our program.
Okay, Shireen, do you have anything to add?
Actually, I believe what is happening today, and we'll see more than that, is that we have Arab experts in Arab society. We don't need that someone show us what we need. We actually know how to do that. So we believe that when we strengthen the local department, and when we can also dream and do it, not all outsourcing everything outside our society, this is the key. And what I like in Tamkin, that we strengthen the teachers in school. we don't bring other teachers to the schools. So we invest in our teachers. And Sally is an expert, and she is an Arab. So we have all Arab experts in Tamkin, and this is the way that I believe we can combine between Arabs and Jews in programs to succeed more, in my opinion.
Thank you, Shireen. Nancy.
Yeah, and I have to mention that we didn't make like a cut and paste from the Jewish community. We have 1 year just to adapt all the program to the Arab culture and our language. So it's really come from Arab person, despite that we are ICEI, but we learn from the Jewish community and their experience, but we adapt it to our culture, our mentality, our language. So it's
Great. Thank you, Sally. Nancy.
I was just, hi, thank you so much. The program sounds wonderful. So I was just curious in terms of the Hebrew, the issue with Hebrew. Somebody once told me that, you know, they learned a language when they were little because they watched TV, you know, they watched programs in a different language, or they, and then, you know, now there's like lots of apps, you know, for learning language. So I was just curious, have you thought about, you know, technology and the opportunities that kind of thing could offer children who, you know, can learn these things very quickly. They don't have the, you know, all the issues that older people have learning technology.
I admit that we don't really used to think in a very creative. So we know how to give schools more hours to study Hebrew or to train the teachers. But what you have told us, this is the main idea we want to do next year. We just want to get straight to the kids by digital programs. So this is actually the main thing we would like to do, to strengthen their Hebrew, and especially to let them meet young Jewish kids from other schools. And what we figured that even though what you hear about the political environment, 1% of all programs that principals have to choose in Israel, it must be in coexistence activity. So we just want every school to meet with Arab schools. So this is one of my obligations as head of Arab Department and Ministry of Education. So I hope I will get that next year.
You mean meet with Jewish schools?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. Right.
And I would like to start with teachers or principals, because adults would have to be the role modeling for kids. We don't do that enough. We make kids meet each other, but we have to start with their teachers and their principals. So we do this in 7 cities in Israel: Haifa, Akko, mixed cities. We began this year and we will continue next year, and maybe all over Israel, I hope.
Do you do that with Beit Burl College?
No, I do that with my own program because of Tochnit Chomesh,
5 years.
5-year programs, only Ministry of Education.
Yes, Sally, did you have something to add?
I want
there?
also
Oh,
to
go
talk
ahead.
about the Hebrew issue. First of all, when we are talking about kids that they didn't experience any successful, they didn't even try to give effort to teach another language, because they didn't have this good experience with one of the obstacles of to learn the language, because that we believe if we invest in Arabic and they have good experience and successful experience, they will be more easier to learn the Hebrew. Another thing, we we find that when we are working with the identity of Arab community, will be easier for the kids to accept another identity and to learn the other language. And that's what we are working in our program. And we have also a goal, because our program is working in a language, and Hebrew is a...
Oh no, Sally is frozen.
another language, and also at the future, our Hebrew in our school.
I have to say something about the theory of first strengthen our identity, then we can meet the other side. In my opinion, it failed. We don't have time in Israel to do that. We have to do in the same time both. Our reality is we can't wait till we strengthen our identity and then meet the other side. We have to do this together. I believe in this theory. I know that strong people want, they don't have to change their opinion, but I think that we can change our opinion and theories if we want to make a real change. And what I see is maybe this is what we pay for years, thinking that first we have to strengthen ourselves, then meet the other side. Too much generations, we waste their time in that. We have to do both.
Okay. Well, thank you, Shireen. So Shahira and then Don next.
So thank you very much, Salko Alan. Thank you for this very good and nice conversation model. Your program is amazing. Just it was for me, it was the first time that I realized how many forms of we have, and I can't imagine how the kids really could learn the language with so many different ways of writing and speaking. That's amazing. So my question is, I would like to know what is your vision for this program? It means in terms of how many schools you want to cover and when and how. This is my first question. And the second question, it's like a cooperation between the Ministry of Education and your association. So if this program is so successful, do you think, Shireen, it should be an integrated, should be a methodology that the Ministry of Education should adapt and should adjust this for all schools in the Arab community? So it's a kind, I would like to understand this combination between you and the association.
Absolutely, yes. This is my dream, that every school, every elementary school would have such a program, because this is the only way to teach kids in the 21st century. We used to teach them, in an old programs, and we have to do. I think this is the only way to teach kids in these days, by make them curious, make language studies very interesting for them, to strengthen their teacher and not other teachers, to make them see what is happening outside and bring it inside. And the combination between ministry and founders, this is the only way. We used to think that we only know what we need to do as Ministry of Education. But we now figured that we don't know everything. We have to also do collaboration with others to succeed. And the other thing that we believe, it won't be the same in every area. In South with the Bedouin, it won't be the same in like the mixed cities, like in North. So what I like in Tamkin, that it's not the same every school. They know how to change the program, like the variety of the schools. So I hope, but it's very expensive for us, and we need more founders to do that. I will struggle. I will fight that we will put more money next year's from my point of view, this is one of the goals I would like to have in my obligation.
Thank you, Shireen. Don, where are you? Yeah, go ahead.
So just a couple of comments, and then I have a question. So first, just thank you, all of you at the task force, and also I want to thank Shireen for your partnership and leadership on this, because it really is an unprecedented opportunity to turn around some of the lowest functioning elementary schools in the country. And we've talked a lot about how much you have to invest in language. And we know from our experience, because we've been working in low-income communities in the Jewish communities for 16 years. And we know that if kids' native language isn't strongly established, they're not capable of learning a second or a third language. You have to have the foundations. And that's absolutely crucial. I'll come back to that in 1 second. You know, we've been piloting an interactive digital reading and teaching platform in our Jewish schools, and contracted with Israel's leading publishers, who provided 300 Hebrew books for fifth graders, who can now access those books on any end user device. And the books all have embedded comprehension questions and vocabulary building exercises in the text. And we're seeing the kids reading thousands of hours on this platform. So we've already talked to them, because it was the first time this platform was ever done in Hebrew. It's existed in English for 12 years, but it never existed in Hebrew or in a different alphabet before. But now that the Hebrew is working, we've already approached them and said, let's do this in Arabic. Let's get this ready in Arabic and have this accessible for Arab students as well. And they can also access the books in Hebrew. And they can also access the books in English, because we have 300 Hebrew titles, but there are 1 million English titles on that platform. So, you know, there's a lot of potential and a lot of things that are already happening that we would love to expand and grow. You know, I think, as you said before, you asked the right questions about capacity building, investing in the faculty, strengthening their skills. That's the quickest way to turn things around. Doing it in the classrooms with them, not only on off-site in-service training. There's a whole industry of hishtalmuyot, in-service training here, but very little of it gets back to the classroom. So we just said, let's go in the classroom and work from there. Let's go into the principal's office and work from there. I did have one question. I know one of the challenges, and Sally mentioned it in her presentation, is that Arabic is already 2 languages. These kids are learning a spoken language and a written formal language, which have some overlap, but are essentially 2 distinct languages. I'm just wondering what the discussion going on internally about how that impacts their ability to be ready to learn a 3rd language of Hebrew or a 4th language of English, whichever order that comes in. So I'd be curious to hear what you're thinking about that.
I spoke a lot, maybe Sally and Salam.
Sorry, repeat the question. I was dreaming.
It was really about the diglossia, you know, and what's the approach to dealing with the diglossia, meaning the quite distinct spoken language and formal or written language. And is there a debate going on within the ministry of how we should be teaching Arabic, or is it, you know, pretty settled? The focus is on the written language in school.
I think that the main issue, of course, the teachers that provide the students. The method, there is no, we know many cases of students or kids all over the world that speak 3 languages even together. So the students or the kids are able to study this language together, but you need to provide them with the best means. And I think that the current education system in Israel is not giving them the correct education method to be able to do that. So they can study language. So, for example, I started study Hebrew 3 years after I entered school, but I didn't learn Hebrew from school, by the way. What happened it was that I took the newspaper and started to read newspaper alone. And from there, I knew, I started after 2 years to speak Hebrew and to read the fluent Hebrew, including books. So you need to provide students with modern needs, and they should be able to study 3 languages. During this, you can teach them also critical thinking, because with the language you can teach critical thinking.
Yeah.
Critical thinking is the most important thing.
Yeah. So Sally, what's your pedagogical experience here?
Yeah, I want to say that what we see in the feed, that they teach the language as a curriculum, as a specific program. So, and we can't get really good language just from curriculum. We need to explore to the language in a very different way. And that's what we are trying to do in the ICEI. It's also reading, listening, to teach in a formal language. It's even not a normal thing in our school. Some teachers teach in a spoken language because it's need a effort to change to the formal language. Yani it's like to simply to move to Hebrew or to move to English in our brain. Because you have to find the right word, you have to find the good grammar. So it's really need effort, and we have to practice it. So if you go to teacher in first class, second class, they much comfortable to him to speak like spoken language. And in our program, we try to enhance them and support them to speak in a formal language, to make the children explore more to the language and to teach the language just not like in the book, at the curriculum, even in a very different ways.
I treat diglossia as a great advantage. You know, for me, when I was a kid, my parents spoke in Hebrew because they don't want me to understand what they speak. So I just, you know, I just knew Hebrew in a very aerial. And so, you know, we have to treat diglossia as Arabs who live in Israel as our fact. It's a fact. We can't make it border to succeed. So we have diglossia in Arabic and in Hebrew. We have to treat it as an advantage, not something that must fail us. But maybe because I really think that when you are a young kid, you can learn Hebrew, Arabic, English, French. So I don't like when we speak about diglossia as something that will bother us.
Well, thank you. So, you know, we're a bit over time, and I want to be respectful and sort of bring the the program to a formal close. If anybody wants to hang out on the Zoom for a few minutes, I'll be here.
I still at work.
Yeah, okay, Shireen still has work. Perhaps Don, Sally can do it. But first, so I've learned so much in this about this. I mean, again, through Littauer and through SVF, I fund ICEI, and indirectly through SVF Tamkin, would have learned more about the scope of the program and also about the potential for growth, right? How much the needs are, how this is really just sort of a drop in the bucket. Another thing that I'm taking away is, you know, the notion that I was hearing strongly from Shireen, that shared society education is fundamental to education, right? If we want Arab students to be able to learn Hebrew as well as Arabic, they need contacts with Jewish society and teachers and culture, as well as a grounding in their own society. So this has just been such a fascinating program for me. So I would just ask Rivka, if anybody, I think most people are probably familiar with ICEI, but if you want to drop, thank you, if you want to drop info in the chat, that would be great. And yeah, I mean, this is a formal close. Shireen has to go back to work. There's so much to discuss. If anyone has other questions, and Sally and Don, you could stay on, that would be great.